Now boarding for Rebuild of Joycast, your weekly destination for anime, manga, and more.
Welcome back, everyone. Val could not make it on the train this week. We promised we'd go back to the sea, but unfortunately, Val couldn't make it. He had a last-minute emergency. He said something about he had to pick up his friend, who was also his weed dealer, up from somewhere. It was weird. Freddie, how's it going?
Hold on. Stop the train. Hold on, please let me get out. Stop the train.
Yeah, I can tell how last minute this is. Here you go. Get on here, motherfucker.
Hey, doing good. Just gotta...
So what do you think? What do you think about having your weed dealer be your friend? Val says it's efficient. It means they're going to control how much you smoke. I think you take it a step further and you just have your mom be your weed dealer.
Now look, it just means they have an open relationship, all right? Like, they're honest with each other, they talk a lot, they hang out. They don't, like, start doing a fetal
position. Take it a step further, though. Marry your weed dealer, then you get free weed, motherfucker.
Free weed. Hey, look, because if it was me, I'd be like in the fetal position in the corner with it, all right? I can't handle that stuff. It's too strong.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, Freddie, good to have you back. We had you guest a couple months back, and that was a real joy. And we didn't get to where we wanted to, because we probably wanted, because we thought we were to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, because that's a thing we really enjoy. I mean, hell, maybe we did talk about, but we didn't talk about it enough.
It was very quick, because, like, look, we were all obsessed with Boji at the time. Who could not get enough of that?
Oh, Ranking of Kings, you're correct. We were in our Ranking of Kings phase.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, hell, that has little tidbits of D&D. But, like, speaking of D&D, that trailer, Paramount movie, what did you think?
Okay, yeah, it's a coincidence, because I was like, Freddie, get on this podcast. We can talk about D&D. And as soon as we say that, boom, Paramount releases the trailer. So I didn't see the trailer first. I saw the promo that IGN did for them on TikTok. Why do we keep trusting IGN with shit, first and foremost?
I'm shocked that they put it on TikTok. Because that was
awful. Because the guys at Saturday AM showed me this first. The the IGN TikTok promo they did for D&D, where it was like 80 frames per second, looks like a freaking Hell's Kitchen fucking ad. Yeah. Or America's Top Chef or whatever. Whatever these it was like a reality show reveal.
But it was good timing though, especially with, like, the ending of Stranger Things. Yeah, because they, of course, like, were hyping up D&D like crazy.
They did a cross promo with D&D Beyond where they did a Vecna like event. Yep. It was strange. Yeah, pun intended. We're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll get to that. But yeah, you're seeing where our brains are at this week, audience. So yeah, this is the And More podcast.
It's D&D
that we claim. This is the And More we claim to do. But to be fair, D&D has a very fond place in every Joy Boy's heart. Our long-term audience. We used to have a D&D show on the channel, and the audience loved it. It used to be a foundation of our channel.
I think there was like a meme about it, because, like, a lot of new players. I actually finally went to in-person D&D tables for the Adventure League, like the official rules of D&D.
Yeah, the official stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. But, like, I actually met a whole lot of people who were like, yeah, I'm here to play D&D. You been a D&D fan? Yes. Ever since I watched Stranger Things. I'm like, D&D's been here before Stranger Things.
Okay, I was wondering, because you prefaced to me when we were typing our notes this week.
All right.
You're like, I want to talk about how it relates to Stranger Things, because they make such a big thing. I'm like, and that goes to show how insular we are and what segment of D&D culture that I'm in, at least, where I've heard nothing about Stranger Things, but you sure as fuck have, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently it's been very effective, but we need to, like, organize. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's talk about this new Paramount movie, because that's the most topical thing.
Right, that's true. Yeah, we can just keep jumping ship.
And my first reaction, so besides the fucking Target ad that IGN did for them, bad idea. Then the trailer comes out, which should have came first. My initial reaction, I don't hate it. I thought I would hate this. Mm-hmm. They're kind of Marvel-fying D&D, and I guess that's fine. Like, you could do far worse, can't you?
I don't know if that's really going to be a good thing or a bad thing, but so far,
I think
it's
it's a long-term bad thing.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about like making a bottom line, like you're trying to expose like Stranger Things and Critical Role stuff, like you're IV dripping a little bit of D&D into the culture.
Yeah.
Now they're about to fucking slap the mainstream in the face with D&D. Like this is going into mainstream theaters. It's gotta have Minions hours showing, all right? Like, how do you expose a mainstream audience to Dungeons and Dragons? Marvel-fying is sadly the safest, smartest solution.
Honestly though, I think I have two initial theories about this. Like the first theory is they're doing this so that way they can establish an audience, show them a little bit more of the lore and background of D&D, and then they're going to split off into their own thing. And if they don't, the second theory is they just keep marveling it up until it just dies and becomes too hammy.
Exactly. Like it's just gonna be Marvel-fied. They're like, this is just a bankroll. This started as an ad for D&D.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could definitely tell the people working on this do have an enjoyment and a love for D&D. I can see that.
Did you see all the references they made in there?
Yes, I see all the references, and I'm like, fuck, I'm a fucking nerd now. Because I'm a pretty homebrew guy, so like you probably saw like 5 times more references than I did, but still.
I wouldn't actually, so because of recent events, I wouldn't have noticed a lot of things because a lot of it is actually directed at AL for Adventures League. So that town they're in, it's in like the realm of like it was like Phandalin, and I think that's like a Greyhawk or something like that, and right now they're in the town of like Neverwinter. And it's bonkers. Like all of I'm surprised how close everything has come together with like Adventures League and this movie. Just bam, just comes out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, like I said, I think it looks, like I said, I don't hate it. It looks solid. I think this is the smartest. If you're going to expose a mainstream audience to D&D, I think they got it. I think they figured it out. Is it going to be actually like objectively good? I say jury's still. I don't want to be a hater. I'm gonna wait till I will see this in theaters, and then I will be the judge of it then.
Yep, same. Like,
but now, what do I really like about this? Oh my fucking god, Chris Pine is a bard.
Yeah.
My bisexual brain is going fucking nuts right now.
It's actually perfect.
Holy shit. I'm like, fuck, that is a bard.
So they got a bard, a druid, a barbarian, and I think a sorcerer, because that guy back there.
Yeah, and then all the rules lawyers in the fucking tweets responding, "Oh, if he's a sorcerer, why does he have a staff?"
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh no, that's bullshit. They can have staffs. It doesn't matter about that.
But one of my favorite jokes though was they cast Justice Smith, which is like a hit or miss kind of actor, and people are like, he better be a healer. If you're gonna cast Justice Smith, you better be a healer. Otherwise, what's the point?
Dude, okay, because like what's crazy too is like I believe that like some of the animators in this movie, they also they threw in like their own like little complaints about the D&D system. Because the druid turned into an owlbear, and he can't be that. That's a monstrosity.
People, and then people would fucking
it.
chat, and then the comments were going, well, they're trying to segue owlbear into beast and stuff like that. I'm like, that's the stuff that doesn't bug me.
No,
because again, I'm a homebrew
awesome.
guy. I play in a campaign right now with Peo, and we're pretty much, if it's cool, he'll allow it.
Which, that's why, like, I'm actually excited, because, like, what if, like, there actually is a new circle of druids now where they can turn into, like monstrosities like that? That'd be so sick.
Oh, you think they might be teasing some new,
possibly,
some new subclasses?
Yeah, they might.
There's a more monstrosity-based druid. That would actually be quite fascinating, because they'll never give people, I shouldn't say they'll never give people a direct werewolf, because Blood Hunter is definitely in that direction now.
Well, they did with Barbarian.
But I always consider the Beast, Mark of the Beast, Barbarian as the true werewolf.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
But I could see them trying to get a few more flavors of that in with the Druid as well.
It'd be
like,
so cool.
Yeah, like not necessarily a werewolf class, but like an homage, and more like, well, if you don't want to be a werewolf, you could be some other beast that you could work with.
Like werebeast in general?
Yeah, I could see that coming. Oh,
yeah. This trailer in general, like, it does have, like, a lot of promise for the future. Maybe not so much as the film, but of course, we have to wait until the movie comes out in theaters.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be a hater on this. They look like they're having fun, and so that's where I zip my mouth and go, okay.
Yep.
innocent until proven guilty.
That freaking the black dragon coming in like spewing out that acid. That was so awesome.
Yeah, it seems like from the trailer they were kind of balancing, but this looks like it's gonna be a fucking riff. That being said, how much is it gonna be like the old D&D movie? Because it seems pretty similar in premise.
Right.
Where the good guys steal the wrong item and set it up, and the only marked difference is, well, Jeremy Irons is in this one.
Yeah, please.
I
want Jeremy Irons to be just like, the dragon.
Give a cameo, right? Please.
Be perfect.
Yeah, but one thing I wanted to bring up with you, speaking of subclasses, though.
Okay.
What do you think about like all the fucking new books coming out? Because Wizards of the Coast just bought out D&D Beyond.
Yep.
And they are pushing books hard, which is fucking hilariously ironic. Because the last time I listened to an interview with like Jeremy Crawford and all them, they talked about how they weren't gonna push 1 billion books on people.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately after, now it's like there's just new fucking books like every quarter, at least. It seems.
It strangely feels like you know, like when Magic the Gathering, like before they would push out like a bunch of new sets. It feels like that, but now with D&D books.
Yeah,
and I'm definitely
which I'm not complaining because I play digitally, so it's like, bro, just feed it right into my fucking feed, dude. Like,
absolutely,
good, it's automatically in there.
Because you get to like play
fine by
stuff.
me, more content, more puzzle pieces to play with to keep adding to my already overly woefully overpowered character.
And that's why, like, you know, being in a local game store, I'm now actually getting like more of an insight on what's going on, because there's actually a lot of dungeon masters that are concerned about this. They're having a huge balancing problem because with the things that's happening in Tausha,
I bet, because some of these new shit is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, but because the things that's happening in Tausha's is actually like almost like taking a hammer and slamming into the rule set.
Okay,
of the
I like
handbook.
Tausha's though. I think Tausha's was a good thing.
It is good. I really think it is good.
To me, Tausha's, like, yes, sir, there was probably some over-escalation going on, but for me, Tausha's was finally getting through the rules lawyers and the fucking Adventures Leagues motherfuckers and going, no, we can flavor. Flavor is now the rule of thumb. This is what's gonna make the game more fun. Open it up to flavor. Start being more imaginative. I like that. I like that now races are much more flexible for flavor.
Oh, 100%.
I like this.
That's why I like
think
the
that
custom
was a good
lineage.
thing.
The custom lineage is such a good idea. Because, like, if
Yes.
you don't see, like, a race that you really want to play, you get to create your... And having the custom background and all that stuff, it doesn't break the game. It's enough to let you have room to write what you want.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily also, like, even custom lineage by itself, but that opens up the door to discussion to being more like, again, those rules lawyers and those strict Adventure Leagues guys were like, well, yeah, but your dwarf has to be this, and from this certain place, it has to talk and speak another fucking way.
Right.
It's fantasy racism is what it is. And it's like, and the drow have to be like this. It's like, now that we have custom lineage, now, even if you choose to play a specific race, now there can be some leniency. I've only played Adventures League twice, like open table twice,
did?
and I always had terrible fucking experiences.
Yes, because like,
people are just too strict. They need to relax. But to be fair, they're not writers and actors like we are. Like I say, I've had this discussion with you before. We are so spoiled for the options that we have as a group of friends in D&D.
Oh, that's true.
All our friends who are either players or DMs are writers and actors and game makers. Like, so like they're more open and more creative, and they encourage flavor.
Right.
And so when I go to something more strict like in-table play at a local game store, it's so bad. Also, there is like some discrimination against the jocks. It's not even fucking funny. I thought that was a joke. Someone warned me that if I walked up in there, they were gonna be fucking mean to me, and oh my god, they fucking are.
No way, really?
There's some anti-jock fucking behavior. I'm like,
that sucks.
Bro, don't make him on that table. I'm trying to be polite, but I'm trying to bite my tongue, because this one fucker I was trying to play tried to kill me off like immediately. And thankfully, a few other people at the table were a lot nicer, like, yo, hey, stop it.
Dude, no, okay,
but it's like people just need to get a fucking life, bro. Like we're here to all play. Like this, it's not high school, bro. I'm not the bully you made up in your head, bro.
Besides,
the one you saw in My Hero Academia, and then self-insert into your own life.
Right. I mean, hell, like, come on. I think it's a better strategy to incorporate the jocks so they can protect the nerds from all the haters. Don't you see?
the other thing too is the sexism, because I wasn't allowed to play. You know me, I love to play women in D&D. I like to play the characters I want to see in fantasy and fiction. And these fuckers were like, no, you can't play as a woman. I was like,
that's
bye.
bullshit.
You can't play as a woman. Bye. As in, I'm bisexual. I go both ways, motherfucker. Let's go.
No,
I'm gonna either I'm gonna be a woman or I'm gonna be a gay man. I know you hate one more worse than the other.
Then I'm happy that like my store's like it's a lot more open than that. They definitely want
good.
To, like,
I wish so. I want to play more in table D&D, but I'd rather do it with my friends because my experiences in public have been fucking off.
I mean,
and I know that's not indicative of all of D&D, and I'm being very harsh.
Oh yeah.
And I know that the grand majority are very kind and very open. But my God, I've heard things and then I experience them and I go, fuck, I actually was hoping they were wrong. That this was more kinder and opening. Y'all need to watch some more Critical Role and actually listen to them, man. Everyone love everybody. Come on.
I mean, I think that's the biggest advice to anyone.
We're here to have
like,
fun. Tell a story.
For anyone who's like looking for tables, like if like just anytime you feel uncomfortable, just keep looking for a new table.
Yeah.
Do not
walk
feel like
the
you
fuck
have to make
away.
it work. Yeah, walk away.
Yeah, if you don't fucking like your table, walk away. There will be more tables. D&D sounds like a very like, because it used to be like the internet and Stranger Things, like you said, helping.
Yep.
Critical Role. All D&D coming to the forefront of mainstream, now being weaponized by the internet. Your options for tables to play on, whether they are physical or virtual, are now practically endless. It's just a matter of finding the one that you're the most comfortable at now.
Yep.
It can happen. Like, it's because that's the reason why, like, you can walk now. In the past, you really couldn't walk away, could you? Like, you had very slim pickings.
It would be extremely rough because I remember there was an application called Meetup, which of course sounded suspicious at first, but that was the only way for me to find Gamerati, which I don't think they're actually meeting anymore because I was originally looking for them, and that's how I found this new game store group. But like, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You would either have to like have close friends, or you have to like call people back who you maybe went to college with or school to like try to round up a group,
Yeah.
and even then. Online
Because
D&D
I mean, if you
difficult.
go on Reddit, if you go on D&D Reddit, because I'll go there to get some ideas sometimes, and it's just people usually the older ones who are still in that old frame of mind, were like, well, this is all I got. They just fucking hate each other. Imagine playing a game for 10 years and just hating everyone there.
Yeah, that's so rough, man.
That sucks, bro. But that's a commitment to your character, I guess.
Right.
I kind of respect it, but fuck.
Nah.
That's miserable.
No, it's miserable not only for everybody else, but also for yourself at the end of the day.
But yeah, no, talk about these Stranger Things folks jumping on in now, because to me, I don't think Stranger Things has really made an impact on D&D, but from your perspective, it seems to be the case.
It's actually kind of crazy. So I just finished watching Stranger Things. Did you watch it, by the way, at all?
I watched the recent season. This ain't a Stranger Thing podcast. I liked the first half of this season. Season 4, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then I thought the finale, the last two like movie-sized episodes, fucking sucked.
Damn. I actually liked it all the way through. I actually thought like the show was like really brilliantly done. I
like the first half, even though there's some parts that don't work. It's a little disjointed, and some characters don't work. But what does work, fucking works. I was very much impressed because I'm struggling with Netflix these days. I don't like a lot of things on there, and I'm like, oh, so Netflix does make good things. And then those last two episodes came out, I'm like, oh man, I hope this ain't illustrative of what's to come, because they're trying to turn Stranger Things into a full-on media franchise now. They're trying to do stage plays and spin-off series. I'm like, oh, good fucking luck,
yeah,
bro.
but the other thing is like
Godspeed.
Also look at the advertisements they were able to throw in there. Freaking Alaska Airlines, Burger King, just like it went nuts. How many companies are throwing their logos in there? But the biggest influence.
No, see, I thought they were struggling because the pineapple pizza place.
Yeah, the Surfer Boy.
That clearly they wanted to do Domino's or Pizza Hut, and neither said yes. They were like, no, fuck you.
No, because like they were doing a joke with like Surfer Boys, because I don't think they're real. I mean, I don't know if they're still around. They might be, but it's.
Oh, is Surfer Boys an actual legitimate fucking
Yes, it is.
chain?
Yes, it is.
Okay, then I stand corrected. Then they got the deal they wanted.
Yeah, because It felt legitimate.
But I guess I'm not that old, audience.
But the point is though, so what this show did for D&D, it kind of like showed the creativity of it, how open it could be.
It definitely exposed a mainstream audience, and again in an Ivy drip way. I don't think it does justice by D&D. I still think it's still very stereotypical and very, well, this is how we've always viewed D&D from the 80s. I know it sounds basic, but I don't even want the Critical Role way. I want the mission to Zix and the Adventure Zone mentality. Not necessarily making fun of it, but just like, no, go full on creative. It's not just Vecna and all these buzzwords. It's just a structure for collaborative storytelling.
No, I mean that's true. I'm saying the reason for it. It's just it gives the idea that like you can have an adventure with your friends, and that was the biggest impact that Stranger Things had by showing.
I do like when it incorporates into its own story. I do like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it just in terms of like how it deals with D&D alone, I'm just like, oh, it's dealing with the satanic panic and stuff. I'm like, yeah, D&D did exist during the 80s, but it's been like we're like 30 going on 40 years now.
Mm-hmm.
D&D's very different now. I want to see people talk about modern D&D. I'm still waiting for that in a way that's not told by fucking Big Bang Theory. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no.
I want honest, and that's where my hope is for this D&D movie by Paramount.
Boy, I mean, that would be because the fact that like this, Paramount movie D&D is going to be actually based on like a story. Like they're actually going to fully dive into the world of D&D. Yes. That's why I said like, I don't know if the movie's going to be amazing, but it's a hope for the future.
They're being honest about the structure and what's in the pre-made books.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just in terms of how they approach it. Like how much irreverence, how much earnest. I want an earnest D&D film. And I know if they Marvelify it, that's not going to fucking happen. So I'm just praying for some earnest elements. In a modern scope, like I want a modern lens with an earnest emotion.
Yeah, but that was.
And I think Chris Pine can deliver that.
And that's why it was. That's why I mentioned the whole Stranger Things in the first place, because like it was the biggest impact for just like the idea of like being able to play it is like okay, and I understand that like because it was talking about the 80s and how like they kind of thought of it as a satanic cult. But I think that's why they were also kind of making fun of the idea at the same time. So like, I don't think they were actually like, seriously imposing the audience that like, oh yeah, this could totally happen. Is that what you're mentioning earlier?
Oh no, I don't think Stranger Things was making fun of it at all. I just like it was the fact that it continues to be nerds at a fucking table, the geeks. If you play D&D, you're a fucking nobody. Although they did something right, they got the little sister involved this season.
Yes, I
thought that was fucking incredible.
And she's
but like when they introduce Eddie Munson, they introduce him like a fucking insane person, especially when he's playing D&D.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did not like. Like I wish we got like second half of season Eddie Munson DMing a game of Dungeons and Dragons. That would have been modern scope.
I actually agree with that. Yeah.
But if we're talking about anything about modern scope, they do use the satanic panic as an allegory for like modern wagging the dog of blaming like societal problems on one thing that's clearly not the problem.
Mm-hmm.
For in this case, gun violence, and they immediately go to video games, even though scientifically that is proven false. But no one who makes those headlines cares about scientific facts.
Of course.
And it's like, so I like the allegory there, but again, like I want to see D&D played modernly in pop culture, exposed to the mainstream. Because I feel like once you do that, that's when you're really gonna get the full mainstream on board with D&D as like a video game, like the way video games are now, so mainstream and so universally enjoyed, despite the media blaming it because it's so behind.
Well, actually, I'm curious about that. Have you ever played Solasta then, Crown of the Magister or something like that?
Nope.
It is a really cool game that's on Xbox One and on PC. That actually really incorporates the rules of D&D, and it lets you on the PC you get to actually like have like modifications. But point of it is like they are starting to create more games online. Like if you don't have a table,
we don't need games like D&D though. We have D&D. What I'm saying is I want to get D&D itself into the full-on mainstream.
No,
We're
I
close.
agree with that. What I'm just saying is, like, we are actually starting to see more signs of involvement into D&D, into further, like, different scopes. But
It gets creepy. Yeah. I agree. It's definitely creeping in there. Again, it's creeping into Stranger Things. It's creeping into video games, as you said. We're getting there.
But we
it's just
definitely
like
need
we're
more.
already in the process. I want to get past the process. I want to see it there.
Because, like, I guess what would be your interpretation? Like, what would be like the next step? Because, like, right now, you know, we've got Critical Role, we've got
I
Dimension
think the
20.
Dungeons and Dragons movie, if it's successful, is the next step.
Right.
Where it's not Lord of the Rings fine. It's like it's really leaning to the fact that this is Dungeons and Dragons. We're adapting this in the same vein that we would adapt Detective Pikachu or something. Like we are absolutely full on committed and representing something. And I think that's it. It just needs to do well, and in my eyes, to do well, you can't just go by the numbers. Like, you need to tell a genuinely earnest
Story, yeah.
story that actually enjoys being there and says, guys, this is Dungeons & Dragons. This is why this is so incredible. And we want to encourage you to get fucking involved.
And, you know, the biggest thing that I really hope they
Because I
nail
don't
too-
think Stranger Things, at least from, again, you've proven me wrong, I don't think encourages long-term D&D play. I think it's, this is what I'm going to try it, and then they realize that modern D&D is nothing like the way you see it in Stranger Things.
Well, okay, so what I mean by that is, like, Stranger Things, it got people interested. But once people started playing the game,
you put the
they liked
you
it
put the
more.
word in their brain. You put the earworm in there.
Exactly. And then once they actually
And then
started
they
playing
go
it,
to the Avengers League and they go, oh wow, this is nothing like Stranger Things. I want where we see something in media and go, that's D&D, and then they come to Adventures League or they play with their friends. They go, okay, this is exactly like it was advertised to me. This is awesome. We need to line up with the way that modern D&D is actually played, and that's the fact that I consider modern D&D to be Tausha's finally, where we're finally throwing, as much as we joke about they're selling too many books, we are throwing the books out the window at the same time. The books are now a guideline. You read the words in your head, then you throw the book in the trash and go, okay, this is my homebrew world.
Yeah. So that way you
That
actually
being
create, like,
said, there's nothing
new
wrong
things.
with playing with the words that they provide. Because again, not everyone's a fucking writer and a storyteller. I get that. It's like setting up a video game.
They're the guidelines. Literally guidelines
But
to
I'm just
help you
saying,
write that story.
don't be afraid to fucking diverge from the structure that you've been given.
Yeah.
Instead of, well, the drow has to act a certain way. No, let the drow do whatever it fucking wants.
Oh, God.
Is it entertaining? Is it not, like, ruining the game? Like breaking? There's a difference between letting someone do what they want and breaking. Of course, don't let someone break the game. Don't do that. But there's a distinct balance between those things.
Right, but, like, then there should also be, like, rulings that were, like, you know, some people, like, want to play, like, the drow, and there's, like, sunlight sensitivity. You know, I feel like,
Yeah,
if
throw that
someone's
shit
like,
out
well,
the window. We have that right now. We do that right now in our campaign.
Exactly.
We never
Cut it-
adjust.
cut
We
it
never
out.
deal with sunlight sensitivity. Fuck
Because it's
that.
ridiculous. You know, like, sure,
It's
like, you're in
stupid.
the underdog, but, like, you can adjust to it because you're an adventurer. Like,
Unless the player agrees. Like, if the player if the player insisted, like, if they pick that character, oh, I want this character because of the sunlight sensitivity, because that to me is a very fun storytelling
yeah,
potential in
absolutely.
that. Then go with it. That's what what we mean is, don't punish your fucking players. Well, the book says this is my Sunny Beach Island campaign, and you chose to be a drow. Well, get fucked, idiot. Fuck that.
Look,
and that's the kind of shit that I encountered in person, and I hate that.
Yes, yeah, because like you're
And
trying to
stop.
You're
Y'all
trying to
are
really
the
tell a
bullies.
story.
You know that. People who act like that. You're the real fucking bully.
Yep.
Stop it.
Well, look, because
This is supposed to be fun for everyone. Sunlight sensitivity does not make or break a game.
you're not trying to tell a story of a game. You're trying to play the game to tell a story. That's the point.
Yeah. Period. You've done it, Freddie. You put the pin in
I've
it.
saved the
You got it.
world.
Perfect.
But in the movie, I hope that the party dynamic, and I don't mean in stats, I mean in like personalities. I hope they meld well. I hope they're like really like they're good friends. They work to like bounce off of each other. Because that's.
I
the
hope
biggest thing
it's
I really want
actually a
people to
game of
know.
D&D. I hope like at time, that's the D&D movie I want actually,
Yes.
Freddie.
Mhm.
I want where they're playing a game of D&D, and they're like I said, Stranger Things slightly does that. They incorporate it, they lace it into their narrative. I want a D&D focused movie where it's a bunch of real life people playing D&D, and you cut back and forth between D&D and real life,
and
and
what
how
they're
one
imagining.
affects the other. That is
that's
what I'm
cool.
talking about.
Now that's
what I
a cool
want.
idea. That is a very cool idea.
And I hope I know this isn't going to be that film, but I hope we get traces of it. I hope at maybe post credits or at the very end of the movie they go, all right, and then you zoom out and it's just Chris Pine and all of them in real life playing D. And it's just a diverse fucking group of people playing D&D. People from all walks of life. They come together to play D&D. That's the D&D movie I want.
That actually sounds.
Where there's
like
an
a really
old
cool
guy.
idea.
There's an old guy from the old days playing it. Newcomer. Everyone in between. The guy who saw it just because he saw it in Stranger Things. The guy who's playing it like an anime character. You know all these fucking tropes because they're fucking real.
And the
Because
dungeon
they're all
master
fucking
should
real.
be.
Because I'm the fucking anime guy playing D&D.
And the dungeon master is Joe Magnello. That's who it's got to be as they zoom out.
Bro, don't, man. My bi brain can't. Don't make me go full gay at the end, bro. Come on.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's the D&D movie I want to see. I'll be honest.
No,
I know back in the
it's
day,
true.
someone was pitching a cartoon. Back in the day, basically when I was developing shit for Paramedic, and I was interviewing people and taking notes on how to do a pitch and stuff, and I ran across this guy who had a fucking great pitch for a D&D cartoon. That was exactly how I just stated. That's probably where I got the idea from. Was from him. Because they were working. I hope it got picked up. And the fact it's been years and I haven't heard from it probably means no, but I'll hang out hope for that cartoon. Fuck.
Hey,
If you're listening to this and you did that, you were working on that cartoon, bro, I'm cheering for you.
Yeah, make it happen, please. Make it happen.
Make it happen. They had a great idea where it was a half D&D, half IRL show.
And then contact Droid for the voice talent, because since you got enough people.
Right.
No, I think
is there anything else about D&D you want to talk about? Because I'm just like, what kind of character are you playing right now in your table?
Oh snap! It's funny you asked. So I'm in an AL setting where it's gonna be AL, but it's also kind of unique. So it's gonna be a little bit more harsh, a little more survival-esque. And I already went through 2 characters. I went through Marin, as you remember.
Marin from our private
Yep.
one I'm playing with Payo. Now Freddie popped in once in a while to play Marin, the cleric turtle, who I loved. He was a little foxy grandpa. He was he was like Master Roshi with a gambling addiction. I loved him.
Nah, he's still one of my favorite guys, but he did not work out. That was unfortunately too terrifying of a setting because we're doing a Ghost of Saltmarsh.
Okay, yes.
Then after that, I tried Molly Stone. He's like this little. He's a human from the Feywilds, and he's a mix of sorcerer, clock soul work with the warlock hexblade. So he does a mix like that. Right.
Okay,
now,
so he's a Sorlock.
Yeah, thank you. That's perfect. Right now, though, the character. It's funny, I didn't tell the players, but they're probably not going to hear this. But if they do, whoops. I'm going to be creating a Barbossa lookalike. I'm literally going to create a swashbuckler with warlock. What's it called? It's
A swashbuckler rogue?
Yeah, but with the warlock, it's an undead something. It's in the
The depths or something?
No, it's you know what? It's the one that Marisha's playing right now. It's that warlock.
Undying?
Undying. That's it. Because
that's sick.
Because if you think about it, it's literally a ghostly visage. But I'm not going to tell the other players because I'm going to talk to the dungeon master and be like, hey, I don't want to say anything yet. So when I take that level in warlock, I'll literally do the whole you're in a ghost story now, boys. And it's whoa.
I know. And it's funny that you're mentioning that because I'm developing a pirate-esque character right now, too. In the private campaign we're playing, I'm playing my favorite build I've ever made. Speaking of, not Tausha's, but the dragon one that came either before or after. It was definitely in tandem with Tausha's. They introduced the Ascendant Dragon Monk.
Oh, God, yes. Incredible.
So everyone who's been begging to play as Goku or Luffy or any anime character,
there you go.
They finally made it with flavoring. If you have the imagination to flavor, they finally made your anime build. And let me tell you, it's fucking incredible. It's my favorite build ever on play. But I did a level 1 Divine Soul Sorcerer dip as well. And that's been fucking amazing. So it's just one level of sorcerer, and then all Ascendant Dragon Monk. My favorite. Love her so much.
I remember bits of her.
Yeah, because you saw her a couple times when you were playing.
Insanely
She's awesome.
powerful.
My favorite build ever. But that being said, Peyo's a tough DM. This is getting tough and we are getting on the borders of, so we're gonna start losing characters soon because we're getting reckless. We are getting cocky, and the game's getting harder, and so I have to start preparing for the possibility if my character dies. So I'm currently trying to prepare a I want to make like a pirate doctor, not Chopper, you motherfuckers, not Chopper.
Why not?
I want to I'm making a guy called Captain Sawbones, and I want to go Hand of Mercy monk, which is the monk that heals.
Yes, and takes away life. That's an interesting way of looking at it.
No, so Hand of Mercy is so fucking sick because it totally skirts around Flurry of Blows, because Hand of Harm doesn't require an attack roll. It just automatically adds damage with the cost of a key point. Which is pretty fucking sick. It's actually more efficient than most other monks for damage. Plus healing, because every time I play a D&D campaign, I'm always begged to be the cleric. I'm like, bro, I'm trying. You know how badly I've tried to make a doctor character, and I can't because all I have to work with is either cleric or celestial warlock. I'm like, I really don't like these. But then I see Hand of Mercy monk, and I go, now that Ascendant Dragon Monk has taught me how to play monk, because before that I would never touch a monk. I always thought monk was boring. But with Ascendant Dragon, they finally figured out the one that I would like to play, and now I'm like, now I don't know what I would do without a monk in my life, because I love it. I structurally love it so much now. I mean, and so I'm making a Hand of Mercy monk that's a pirate doctor, where he's got the but like less of a swashbuckling like stereotypical pirate, and more of like the sailor's hat and the pea coat and the white beard and the cornpipe kind of pirate.
Oh, like kind of like on like a fisherman boat or like
like a fisher, like a lighthouse keeper.
Yeah. Oh, that's sick. I like that.
Yeah, that's the kind I'm kind of working on. Yeah, because because I never encounter enough pirates in D&D, and now I want to be I want to be the woman I want to see in fantasy and fiction. Now I want to be the pirate I want to see in fantasy and fiction.
You know, well, because it's interesting before like the Ghost of Saltmarsh and in general, a lot of like naval battles in D&D were actually really difficult to create. I mean, there were a lot of like good homebrew like ship battles that have been created over the years, but it's been hard to do sea combat because like a lot of creatures just like are not good at swimming. So if they get tossed off the boat, whoops. And that's why with
it's
like
the
game
over
books,
for a lot of people because I was wearing my heavy armor.
Exactly. And that's why with the newer books, it really does, you're right about that, it really does open the doors for being more creative and just in general.
Oh yeah, I would, oh my gosh, I'm glad that none of those in-person games I played were on a fucking boat, because my god, that would have been fucking miserable.
Oh yeah, it would have been absolute like dog shit, because you probably would have pushed up to like, yeah, you probably can't swim because that armor's gonna weigh you down.
Yeah, you can't swim, you're wearing heavy armor, goodbye.
We're in a world of magic. Can I do anything? Oh, I don't think so.
Can my friends help? Oh no, they're not creative enough. They're looking through the books right now, trying to figure out their amount of moon. I'm like, no, gotta be daring. You gotta try things.
Like,
and that's why I've always enjoyed you. You've always been very theater of the mind in that regard. You've been very great on that regard as well. Of just like, as long as you got a flow, you're good. As long as it makes sense.
Yes. Or you know,
as long as you're not breaking the game, we're good.
And like, you know, for DMs that really like want to do like more of a survival thing, that's fine and all. But like,
I would love to play a survival campaign.
Oh yeah, but like I would always like give.
But
like,
don't be a dick about it.
Exactly, like give the players like one last chance. Like either like let's say like you miss a death save or a dexterity save, excuse me, and you fall off the ship. What if like something catches you? Just like out of the blue, like what if there's like nets or a rowboat on the side?
Well, not even that. Like give them a chance, bro.
Right.
Give them a chance to save. Give the guy a chance to save himself. Give the players a chance to the team to save their friend. Like, and then if it doesn't work out there, yeah, man, bad dice rolls, baby. Like you gotta laugh it off.
Yeah, exactly. It happens.
Well, but my thing is like any like fucking like survival campaign DM should like it should be a requirement that they play Breath of the Wild.
Like
you should be required. That's how you do a survival system.
Which is like why I gotta tell you, like, you know, and when you do get to meet the DMs that are like really creative and are honestly maybe a little crazy, like that's when you got like a couple of keepers. This new DM we've been working with, like he's really cool. He's like he can be like a harsh DM because he made these like goblins actually really terrifying to fight. but that was also the incentive. It was really cool. And he literally was talking to one of the players like, hey, you know, yeah, what was the idea you had? Like, yeah, could I like druid shape into a bow? He's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's the best D. So basically, like, my policy, because in the rare occasions that I DM, my policy, I always say at the table when I get someone is, yes, and. Don't ask me if you can do it, do it. And then I'll tell you what the fuck happens when you attempt it.
Yeah.
I will never punish creativity. I will do something. It may not be the results you want, but I'm not going to punish you for it unless you're being a fucking dipshit. But if you want to do something silly, again, it's not going to be what you think is going to happen, but like, I will make it fucking work. And that's the best kind of DM. And not just beyond that, but like a DM that takes input. Like, what's that thing you're talking about? Like, listening to what your players want and incorporating it. That's a keeper DM.
Absolutely, because like taking notes about like character goals of what they want to do and trying to incorporate everything is like, that's why it's very hard, I feel like, now after playing a couple of these games, to follow the modules to a T. Because, like, I feel like you should be able to follow the modules, meanwhile keeping in mind what the characters, what the players want. Because if it's going to be, like, you're following a module, like, all the way to the end of, like, let's say, like, the Mines of Phandalin, and you have to defeat the spider, I don't want, like, a player to be like, oh, I know what's going to happen. The spider's in there. It's like, throw a twist in there. I don't care if it's AL. Throw just one little twist so that way players who played it before can't do what you need them to do.
Okay, hold that thought, Freddie. Jujutsu Kaisen is still mid. Okay, go on.
Okay, you know what? I am a little curious because I still haven't gotten a chance to really dive into Jujutsu Kaisen. Like,
you should. I would still highly recommend it.
Okay.
Despite my feelings on it and the way I keep pissing off the audience, I would still, at the end of the day, would highly recommend Jujutsu Kaisen to anyone that just wants to enjoy a Shonen Jump. It is the epitome of modern Shonen Jump.
Okay.
It's got great characters. I think that its strength is its characters.
Mm-hmm.
The fights. That's the thing I want to have a discussion about right now. Like, we're running out of time, but like,
right.
The one discussion I've yet to have about Jujutsu Kaisen is technical versus thematic storytelling. Essentially, the thematic fights, action. And I find that Jujutsu Kaisen is very technical fighting. It's a technical battle shonen.
Really?
And what I mean is the fact that the characters are really fucking good. The action is very well drawn out and very fun. The story is boring. The story is very bare bones, basic. You've read it a million times before in shonen. And so I had a discussion previously. I used it as an example for adaptive versus innovative, and where Jujutsu Kaisen is adaptive. It's the same old shit you've read before, and that goes the same for its action. It looks really good, but rarely do I feel like it derives a fucking meaning. Like, an interesting meaning. Because there's definitely meaning. You wouldn't fucking be serializing Jump if you couldn't derive meaning in your fucking fights. Holy shit.
You know, in a weird way of like,
just not in an interesting way. It's just, it's not even its fault, Freddie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a victim of its current cast. If it's contemporaries. Jujutsu Kaisen would be the greatest shonen ever if it came out like 10 years ago. But today, we see a million things like it, and one of the things that's like it, that's doing its job better, is Chainsaw Man.
Which,
BT dubs, confirming my theory from last week. It seems like War is the protagonist, and Denji is our end goal for part 2, so I'm excited.
Chainsaw Man looks insane, but like, an idea like with Jujutsu Kaisen, now that you're kind of bringing it up in this like mixed like D&D podcast, you could take then, Jujutsu Kaisen sounds like then, if it's like a bare bones story, if people really like the show enough, you could probably take that and create a D&D based off of Jujutsu Kaisen, if you think about it.
You 110% could, and you can all play Ascended Dragon Monks.
No, how it fucking works. I want to play the warlock who uses the puppet. What was it? The puppet jutsu that girl uses? It's like a knife and a hammer. I mean, that looks not a knife, a nail.
Maybe like a hammer punishment one. But no, there's a guy who. Okay, so there's a character again. It sounds fucking great. I just wish that the story he was in was more interesting. There's a guy named like Mekamura, who like he's literally like a vegetable, and he literally like inserts his mind into puppets and a literal Eva robot. When I talk about adaptive storytelling, there's a part where there's a literal Eva giant mech fight.
Oh, wow.
It looks just like an Eva. And I'm like, bro, you couldn't at least, like, try to be a little bit more different? Because this is cool. This is fucking cool. But, like, why is it literally an Eva?
Huh.
Like, this could be a court case.
So it's like a Sasori from Naruto, except, like, way bigger
Yes.
puppets.
Oh, there's a lot of Naruto comparisons for Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh! You just reminded me. All right, I don't want to forget this. I'll be quick about this. The new build that I actually love, like, this is probably... I would say that I think this is my favorite build amongst anything I've made. It's in one level into Divine Soul Sorcerer, and I'm making an Artificer Cleric multi-class, and he quite literally is he's like Ida, but he punches more than he kicks. So like,
okay.
have you looked up Artificers with the Armorer setting?
Yes, I'm aware of the Armorer. I'm more partial to the Battlesmith.
Battlesmith is really epic. Like I like so with the armor though, it's an action to don the armor on and off again. So literally, I have this like very socially awkward, just like kooky kind of like scientist like freakazoid lookalike character. But like once he clicks like basically like the Iron Man like circle in his chest, like he clicks it, the armor just comes back on, and he turns into, you know, M Hero, short for Metal Hero. And I literally run around, because I've got dual wielder, because the gauntlets count as weapons. So I can run around, I just punch everything. That's
fucking sick.
It's maddening. So I can just like switch from being like, hi, I'm Crepsley. I sound like that like Joker guy. Turn to M Hero. That's probably been my favorite build out of anything I've made.
Yeah, I got a fucking Artificer for you too. So I like to do, so I like the Artificer, I like the Battlesmith Artificer, because I like builds that are sad. And what I mean is not that they're sad, like they're depressed.
What?
But it's called single attribute dependent characters, where you can pull everything you do into one feature, that being for the Artificer, it's intelligence.
Yes.
Everything's built into intelligence. Basically, a Battlesmith, their intelligent modifier goes into their melee attacks.
Yep. Same thing with the armor.
Which
but
I love
like,
that. Whereas like the Hex Blade is another example where all your attacks go into your charisma stat. So a lot of people like to multi-class into a Hex Blade with their paladins or other melee characters, or because then all your attacks are through charisma, and your social stuff's charisma. You're more charisma dependent, and that makes you more of a niche within your team. You're the charisma guy, or as the Artificer's case, you're all intelligence, and I like that. So I like to do a build where I use, because the Battlesmith, not only they have their intelligence modifier, they also get a robot companion.
Yep.
That attacks on its own turns. So I like to get a little bit of I think it's sorcerer or something involved, where they can use shrink grow. What's the spell?
Oh, it's enlarge reduce.
Enlarge reduce. Enlarge on the companion and make it a
God.
giant mech that you can ride.
That's amazing, actually.
And it's fucking sick. And you get all those Artificer weapons where you can like bolster yourself, so you're basically piling and you're practically fucking invincible in this you have to destroy the tank before you can destroy the Artificer, and I fucking love it.
Dude, that's why.
And then I get feats like fucking like when you ride something, I don't know why my mind's brain farting right now.
It's probably because like we're close to our time.
It's the stuff like the Cavalier, where like when you ride something, a mount. Mount.
Yeah, you're right.
A mount expert, where basically, I can use my reaction. So basically, like in order to kill the Artificer, you gotta kill the mech first. But then I use the mount feature, where I can use a reaction where they have to attack me instead of the mount, and I have a high ass fucking AC just by myself.
And that's why
I just become a
Artificers
fucking
are
bitch
crazy.
to attack.
I love Artificers. They're actually really freaking
Artificers
good.
are escalation, like they are crazy. That is like power creep crazy.
But the thing, like, you know, with your Artificer build, so with the enlarge reduce, like, dude, I forgot that we can do this. Technically, we can make scrolls. So if you ever wanted to make like an enlarge reduce scroll,
that's
you
my
could do
issue.
that.
That's my big issue with Artificer. There's almost too much to fucking do.
That's true. You could have a lot of.
I can't even
variability.
keep track of my fucking monk. I keep forgetting shit.
And that's why, like I mentioned cleric before with the Crepsley, that Artificer build, just because like I wanted to have like additional bit of healing. but that's why I threw in like Twilight Domain, because I don't really have to think about the healing. It just kind of comes out with
happens, right?
Yeah, it's so stupid broken, and but with the artificial stuff, like maybe keep like a side of like notes or something, or reminders of what to do. Because if you're a prepared artificer, can almost take on any role if you think about it. It's nuts.
Yes, they're very independent. Is there anything else you want to bring up before we stop the train?
Oh man, I don't want to get off this train.
I know you love it too much. You're like our #1 fan. Like, you keep messaging me, like, trying to talk about shit that happened on an episode.
You know what? I'm sorry. You can't make me leave. I'm gonna go live on the roof. This is my train now. I'm the train king.
You're a vagabond. All right, enjoy the top of the train. We're getting out of here. Take care, everyone. Actually, before I go, I want to tell the audience, we will be off for 2 weeks. Our editor is moving cross-country. So when we return, me and Val are going to have a special 25th anniversary episode in 2 weeks, because that next episode will be episode 25. So get excited for that, and y'all take care.
It's freaking cold up here!
Mind the gap as you exit our podcast safely. Rebuild of Joycast is hosted by Ivan LeRoy and Valentine Stokes. LeRoy's written and directed works can be found on the Joyride Entertainment YouTube channel and the soon-to-be-released original web manga, Paramedic. Val's dulcet tones can be heard in many of your favorite anime and web series, such as Ruby, Death Battle, Tribe 9, Lackadaisy Cats, and more. This episode was edited by Steena Carey, with YouTube version edited by Cody Rock. Music provided by Lofi Geek. Intro and outro narration by Steena Carey. Outro music composed by Michael Pejovich. Logo and visuals designed by Ivan LeRoy. Rebuild of Joycast is produced by Joyride Entertainment and Rock Voice Productions LLC, and made possible thanks to Patreon donations from generous listeners like you. This month's highest tiered Patreon producers are Mr. Host, Austin, Gooner Bear, Jelly Donut, and Fluffy Giggles McCool Kid. If you would like your name shouted out at the end of each podcast, an invite to our private Discord to interact with fans, cast and crew, or early access to all of our content, be sure to check out Joyride Entertainment's Patreon. Links provided in the description. Thank you for keeping Joyride's engine burning.